My grandfather came to the United States as an immigrant to make a better life for my father. My mother came from a long line of laborers, and today I'm proud to be a first-generation American.
In 1978, very late in December, I left communist Vietnam with my parents and two younger siblings and 470 other boat persons. We were at sea for 3 days and 3 nights before arriving in Malaysia. And we stayed at a refugee camp in Malaysia for 7 months before resettling to Northern Virginia.
My parents were teaching in China when I was born. I was 3 months old when my family returned to California. My father was an immigrant and my mother was a longtime Californian. 25 years ago, there was no Asian American voice in national politics, especially in civil rights.
Advancing Justice, AAJC, was founded in 1991 to fill that void, to give a voice to the Asian American community to be able to advance civil rights through litigation, education, and public policy advocacy.
Over the past 25 years, Asian Americans who hail from more than 50 countries around the world and speak over 100 languages are finally seeing how our struggles are related across our own communities and within the larger civil rights community. We are working every day to learn how we can be better partners to each other and to other communities of color who share many of our struggles as well as our hopes for a more just society, and often carrying greater burdens than we do.
By working closely with partners across the civil rights space, Advancing Justice AAJC works to promote justice for all Americans and to ensure we do not repeat the mistakes of the past.
We share similar struggles as other communities of color and hold high hopes in fighting alongside them for civil and human rights for all Americans.
You know, as we look back at history, even 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, Asian Americans were not looked at as the same as the rest of the world. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, the Gentleman's Agreement with Japan in the 1920s, which curtailed new immigration from Japan and from China. For Japanese Americans, detention without due process is a very critical issue. When we were incarcerated back in World War II.
From the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 and the exclusion of all Asians from citizenship to the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II.
To rhetoric we've heard from politicians painting Muslims, Arabs, Sikhs, and others as our enemies, and suggesting policies that are frighteningly similar to internment. We know we're stronger together than apart.
Working to build an America as good as its ideals.
Standing together, we can make sure our communities are seen and counted, especially as the fastest growing racial group in America.
Speaking together, we can make our voices heard. We can challenge the stereotypes that say we're foreign or that we are all the same and refuse to be invisible in our own country.
We can challenge the stereotypes that say we're foreign, we're two-dimensional, we're what you've seen on TV.
Working together, we can make sure our families across the country, including our parents and grandparents, can cast their votes without difficulty and make their voices heard.
Today, we're seeing the results of the last 25 years of hard work by groups like Advancing Justice AAJC and its partner organizations to get Asian Americans seats at the table in politics and grow our community's political power.
In 2009, I became the first Chinese American woman elected to the U.S. Congress. As a community, Asian Americans are growing in numbers and in strength and deservedly should have our voices heard in the issues that affect our community.
We are pushing our leaders to adopt policies that keep families together and recognize the many contributions of our immigrants.
We're making a difference together.
I saw how decades of community organizing led to the creation of an Asian American Studies program and now a major, and how important that program is for students personally and academically.
In 2010, I became the first Asian-born immigrant elected to serve in the Virginia General Assembly.
Advancing Justice, AAJC, is that voice for the Asian American community, fighting in DC and nationwide for our civil rights through litigation, education, and public policy advocacy.
I believe the future of AAJC is very strong and bright. I think one of the main threats, though, if we're not careful, is limited financial support. Every strong organization needs financial support to remain viable. So we need to ensure that AAJC has a strong financial future to ensure that it continues on.
We have seen that when our communities, carrying with them so many distinct, beautiful traditions and languages, speak with one voice, we have the power to move politicians and our nation to be more compassionate, more open, and more just for all Americans.
For not only citizens like myself, American-born or naturalized, but for immigrants, refugees, and even the undocumented, AAJC provides a strong voice for us all.
The community applauds Advancing Justice AAJC in fighting for voting rights for all, for fair immigration policies, for a stronger democracy, for creating opportunities for the leaders of tomorrow.
We've spent 25 years solidifying our seat at the table. Now, it's time to put our growing political power to use. We know that we're stronger together than apart, one voice representing many. Join us the next 25 years of shaping America together.